council laughed in the heart of the galaxy, far from Earth. A giant hall shimmered with silver walls and glowing lights. This was the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, the most powerful group of beings in the known universe. Thousands of alien species had gathered here, their leaders sitting in curved rows speaking in many voices and languages. But today they were all focused on one subject: Earth. A large hologram floated in the center of the chamber. It showed footage of human soldiers marching, training, and firing weapons. Guns barked, bullets flew, and explosions filled the screen. The aliens leaned forward, curious at first, then amused. One tall green-skinned alien chuckled. These humans, they still use explosions to throw metal pieces? Another, with 4 eyes and golden armor, laughed louder. They call these weapons? My child's toys have better aim. The chamber filled with laughter, echoing across the walls. Earth had applied to join the Galactic Alliance, a group of advanced worlds working together. But after seeing this footage, most council members thought it was a joke. Then a voice cut through the laughter. Enough. The room fell silent. A single figure stood, tall, armored in black and silver with glowing red eyes. It was General Threx of the Drakari Empire, a battle-hardened strategist who had fought in more wars than anyone alive. You shouldn't mock what you don't understand, Threx said, his voice low and serious. Primitive doesn't mean weak. The humans have survived alone. That deserves respect. The council ignored him. A vote was held. Earth was approved for limited contact, not as a true ally, but more like a strange new creature to observe and study. The council sent an observation team to Earth, a group of scientists and minor soldiers. Their mission was simple: study humans, report back, and enjoy the show. Back on Earth, deep inside a military base, General Carter watched the news on a screen. A message had arrived. Aliens were coming, but not as friends. The aliens didn't respect humans. They thought Earth was backward, weak, laughable. General Carter leaned back in his chair, staring at the screen. They're sending an observation team, his aide said. Let them come, Carter replied. They'll see for themselves. 3 days later, the alien ship entered Earth's atmosphere. It was sleek, massive, and silent. It hovered above a military base in Nevada before slowly landing on a cleared strip of desert. A ramp extended and 6 aliens stepped out. Tall, armored, proud. Human soldiers stood nearby, ready in full gear. Tanks rolled past. Helicopters circled above. A row of jets lined the runway. Earth was showing strength, but not attacking. The alien leader looked around and smirked. So this is the mighty Earth Army, he said, his voice translated through a small hovering drone. Still using wheels, still using bullets. Another alien picked up a human rifle from a display table. No plasma, no energy blades. How cute. The humans didn't argue. They didn't shout. They just stood tall, calm, and silent. One of the soldiers smiled as if he knew a secret. General Carter approached the group. He was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Welcome to Earth, he said. We hope you enjoy the visit. The alien leader laughed. We already are. Carter turned to walk away, then paused. He looked back at the laughing aliens. Let them laugh, he said quietly, to his aide. They're about to see what fear feels like. First contact. And the first mistake. The alien observation team spent their first day touring Earth's military bases. They walked through airfields, watched drills, and observed soldiers in training. They asked questions, some polite, most mocking. They saw rifles being cleaned, tanks being loaded, jets being fueled. And through it all, they smirked. To them, it was a zoo. A small, outdated one. The alien leader, Captain Varn, couldn't stop laughing. They still rely on combustion engines, he whispered to his second-in-command. They haven't even developed fusion-based personal weapons. No nanotech, no neural sync. This is a planet from the past, But not everyone on the alien team laughed. One younger alien, a quiet researcher named Alex, watched closely. He took notes. He noticed small things the others ignored. He noticed how the humans moved, how quickly they reacted, how disciplined their formations were. He noticed the scars on their vehicles, the way their commanders gave orders, and how the soldiers followed them instantly without hesitation. Something felt wrong, or rather too right. Still, no one listened to Alex, not even when he warned Varn to be cautious. On the second day, a joint training exercise was scheduled. Nothing serious, just a simple friendly demonstration. The aliens had brought along some of their own troopers, tall, armored, and fitted with exosuits powered by advanced AI. These soldiers were confident, cocky. They challenged the humans to a mock battle. First to score 5 hits wins. Everyone gathered at a large outdoor training field in the desert. Cameras were set up. Council drones hovered overhead, streaming the footage live to the Galactic Council. The alien troopers strutted onto the field, showing off their glowing armor and pulse blasters. The humans sent out 5 soldiers, just 5. No fancy armor, just camouflage helmets and rifles. The signal fired. The battle began. And then, nothing happened. For 3 seconds, everything was still. Suddenly, one alien shouted, "I see movement. On the ridge." Before he could aim, snap. A shot echoed across the field. The alien dropped. Hit square in the chest, non-lethal but disabling. The others panicked. Where did that come from? Another shot. Another alien down, then another. Within 22 seconds, all 5 alien troopers were hit. The match was over. Silence filled the desert. General, Carter stood watching from a distance, arms crossed. The alien captain stormed over, furious. That wasn't fair, Varn shouted. Your soldiers used cloaking. No, Carter replied calmly. Just training, camouflage, and good old-fashioned teamwork. They didn't even move. I didn't see any of them. Exactly, Carter said with a thin smile. You weren't supposed to. The Galactic Council, watching the live feed, fell silent. General Threx, who had warned them earlier, leaned forward in his seat. They took down an advanced squad with basic gear and didn't even break a sweat. One council member muttered, "Lucky shot," but deep down a small ripple of unease began to spread. Later that evening, the alien team was invited to dinner at the base. The humans were polite, friendly. They laughed, talked, offered strange food, and told stories about Earth wars, battles, and human courage. Varn drank Earth wine and boasted loudly. Your world is wild, I'll give you that. But without our technology, you'll never catch up. Carter just nodded, raising his glass. Maybe. As the night went on, Alex, the quiet researcher, stepped outside to get fresh air. A human soldier stood nearby, watching the sky. You don't talk much, the soldier said. I observe, Alex replied. That match earlier, you didn't use any of your best weapons, did you? The soldier smirked. You noticed. Alex nodded. Why? The soldier looked him in the eye. Because the real war isn't on this training field. It's coming. And when it does, we won't be playing fair. Back in orbit, something unexpected happened. A rogue alien ship, not part of the observation team, entered Earth space, a criminal vessel known for attacking unarmed worlds. No one expected it to show up here. It locked onto the human base, charged weapons, and fired. A plasma bolt shot toward the desert base at high speed, but before the plasma could hit, something flashed in the sky. Boom! The plasma bolt exploded mid-air, destroyed by something invisible. A high-speed projectile had intercepted it perfectly. The aliens looked up in shock. What was that? General Carter stepped outside and looked up. That was a warning, the GIU. Humans had used a classified defense satellite, one they hadn't told anyone about, one fast enough to hit plasma in mid-air. Now, the aliens weren't laughing, not anymore. Earth's arsenal unleashed. The rogue ship's plasma bolt was gone, shattered in the sky before it reached Earth's surface. No one could explain how. Not the alien observers, not the Galactic Council, Not even the rogue attackers themselves. What? Intercepted it? Captain Varn asked, staring at the sky in disbelief. General Carter stood calmly with his hands behind his back. His face didn't show anger, just quiet focus. That was one of our orbital defense rounds, Carter said. It's classified, but I think you've seen enough to know. We're not what you expected. Varn narrowed his eyes. You said you had no space weapons, that Earth was still developing orbital tech. I said we were still building it, Carter replied. Didn't say we hadn't finished. That night, reports buzzed across the galaxy. The Council demanded answers. How could humans who still used combustion engines and fired bullets destroy a plasma shot in the sky with a hit that fast? Threx, the battle-hardened general, watched the footage again and again. He wasn't surprised. I told you, he muttered to the Council. You judged them by the age of their tools, not the sharpness of their minds. Still, many Council members brushed it off. A lucky defense system. They probably stole it from someone. But Alex, the alien researcher still on Earth, wasn't so sure. He had seen the calm confidence in the humans' eyes. They knew exactly what they were doing. The next day, Captain Varn demanded a new demonstration. Show us your full arsenal, he said. Let's see what Earth really has. Carter raised an eyebrow. You want to see everything? Varn smirked. If you're not afraid. Carter turned away, speaking into a radio. Activate Black Site Echo. The alien team was taken deep into the Nevada desert, far beyond any public zone. They passed through underground tunnels, steel doors, biometric scans. They were led into a massive chamber buried beneath the Earth, so deep even Council satellites hadn't detected it. The room was silent. Then the lights flickered on, and the aliens froze. Before them stood Earth's experimental weapons division. Not rifles, not tanks, but sleek, silent machines, some floating, some walking, some just waiting. There were railguns the size of buildings, smart drones with adaptive camouflage, walking combat suits powered by cold fusion cores, a prototype satellite-guided missile that could strike a target anywhere on the planet within 14 seconds, and at the center of the chamber, a weapon named Goliath. It looked like a mobile tower with legs, smooth plating, no visible weapons. But when a human scientist pressed a button, Goliath's plating opened slowly, revealing hundreds of glowing nodes inside. What does it do? Alex whispered. Depends on how scared you want to be, Carter said. They ran a demonstration. Goliath locked onto a target 300 kilometers away, a decommissioned base in the desert. No sound, just a blink of light. And on the remote screen, the base vanished. No fire, no explosion, just gone. Quantum implosion, said the scientist. Zero heat, no debris. Varn's face went pale. Back on the surface, the alien ship's crew panicked. Messages flew back to the Council. Earth has weapons we can't understand. This species is more dangerous than we thought. We need to reevaluate everything. But the humans weren't done. As the aliens prepared to leave Earth, a final transmission played from Earth's Central Command. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even aggressive. It was a message of warning and cold clarity. You judged us by our tools. You laughed at our methods. But we didn't survive on this planet by accident. We adapted, we endured, and now, we've evolved. That night, the Council held an emergency meeting. Panic had begun to spread, not because Earth had power, but because Earth had restraint. They had shown control, patience, discipline, and that scared the galaxy more than any weapon. They're not just dangerous, one Council member whispered. They're prepared. General Threx sat in silence, then he stood. Prepare your fleets, he said. If Earth decides to fight, we won't win. The silent threat. The Galactic Council had always believed power came from noise, from showing strength with bright weapons and loud destruction. But after the events on Earth, that belief began to crack. Quiet fear spread between council chambers, whispered over encrypted channels. For the first time in centuries, the most powerful beings in the universe were nervous. Earth had done something no other young species had ever done. They had shown restraint while standing on a mountain of hidden power, and worse, they hadn't even used their best weapons. They had let the galaxy laugh. Back on Earth, the alien observation team was leaving. Their mission was officially over, but no one was laughing now. Captain Varn refused to speak during departure. He walked silently to his ship, looking over his shoulder at the desert as if expecting it to open and swallow him whole. Alex, however, stayed behind. He requested to remain on Earth for longer study. General Carter approved it without hesitation. "I want to learn," Alex said. "Not just about your weapons, about your people, your history, what makes you like this." Carter just replied, "Start with our wars. We've had a lot of practice." Meanwhile, far across the stars, the Galactic Council secretly deployed a stealth reconnaissance ship toward Earth. It was invisible to nearly every scanner, equipped with tech designed to monitor without being detected. The ship entered Earth's orbit under a cloak, completely silent, or so they thought. Within 30 minutes, it vanished. No warning, no sound, no trace. The Council received only one message from Earth. "We saw you, don't send another." That single sentence, calm, brief, almost polite, caused full-scale panic in the Council's inner circle. "What happened to the ship?" one counselor demanded. "Did they destroy it?" "No wreckage," another replied. "It didn't explode. It didn't crash. It just disappeared." Threck spoke for the first time in hours. "They didn't want to destroy it. They wanted to erase it. That's a message." "But how can a pre-hyperlane species do this?" someone asked. That word hung in the air, pre-hyperlane. The humans hadn't even joined the galactic travel system yet, and they were already outmaneuvering Council tech. Back on Earth, deep in an Arctic facility no one even knew existed, scientists and military commanders reviewed the intercepted stealth probe. It was still intact, completely functional, just held quietly in a black vault beneath miles of ice. General Carter stood in front of it, arms crossed. "You think they'll send another?" one technician asked. Carter gave a small shrug. "If they're smart, they'll pause. If they're stupid, we'll show them what silent war really means." Meanwhile, strange things began happening across the galaxy. A Council listening post near the edge of space stopped transmitting. A weapons factory on a fringe world found its schematics scrambled beyond repair, without any signs of hacking. A fleet training exercise was rerouted through an asteroid field by a mysterious navigation glitch. 5 ships were lost. None of it was traced back to Earth, but everyone knew. "They're sending a message without saying a word," Threck said. "Every time we probe, they push back without showing their hand." Another general added, "They're not fighting a war. They're playing chess." Inside the Council, fear turned to division. Some members demanded action. "Strike Earth before it's too late." Others called for diplomacy. "They haven't attacked us. Let's not start a war we can't win." A few quietly asked the most dangerous question of all. "What if we submit?" General Threck stood and spoke to the entire chamber. "We once believed humans were weak, that they were small and loud and primitive. But now we see they were hiding their strength, watching, learning, planning." He paused. "They didn't come to us as conquerors. They came to us as equals. We were the ones who laughed. Now we have 2 choices: humble ourselves, or prepare to be humbled." And just as the debate reached its peak, a new signal appeared on Council frequencies, encrypted, human-coded. Not a threat, not a demand, just a single transmission. "We don't want war, but we don't fear it either. No explosions, no fleet, no screams, just silence and understanding." Earth had spoken, and the galaxy finally listened. The Council strikes. The Galactic Council had reached its breaking point. For weeks, Earth had responded to probes, threats, and spy attempts with silence. Deadly, unsettling silence. Ships went missing, data vanished, no bombs dropped, no ultimatums made. But everything the Council sent toward Earth either disappeared, malfunctioned, or came back broken. To the Council, this silence was worse than war. It was dominance without violence, control without force, and it terrified them. "They're playing games," spat Admiral Solvek of the Zinthar Armada. "We must respond with strength." Threx, the seasoned general who had long warned of this, shook his head. "If you strike now, you won't wake a sleeping beast. You'll challenge a hunter already watching you through a scope. But fear makes fools of proud empires." So against Threx's warnings, the Council made its move. 3 Council battle cruisers were deployed to Earth's solar system. Not to destroy, not yet, but to pressure Earth into submission. They called it a show of force. The mission was simple: enter Earth orbit, broadcast a warning, force Earth to negotiate from a lower position. They didn't fire a shot, but they didn't need to. The ships were visible to every Earth telescope and satellite. Their sleek metal hulls gleamed like silent gods in the sky. The message was clear: we're here. We're watching. Submit. Back on Earth, the world paused. News outlets across the globe showed the alien ships in orbit. People panicked. Social media exploded. Were they under attack? Were the aliens going to invade? But inside Earth's top command facility, Project Nightglass, there was no panic, just planning. General Carter stood over a large holographic display with other military minds and scientists. His face was calm, not angry, not even tense, just focused. "Status?" he asked. "Ships have entered high Earth orbit. They're in a stable triangle formation. Weapons powered but not primed." "And our response plan?" "We wait," one officer said. Carter nodded. Then he walked into a dark room labeled Black Echo. Deep beneath the ocean, in a trench no alien satellite had ever seen, Earth's real defense waited. A silent, cloaked facility known only as the Abyss. It wasn't built to stop an invasion. It was built to end one before it began. Inside, AI-linked systems were already tracking the 3 Council ships. Not aiming, not targeting, predicting. If one ship moved in a certain pattern, it would be met with a jamming wave. If another charged its main cannon, it would be disabled mid-power-up. If any of them tried to fire, they wouldn't even know they'd been disarmed. This was not defense. This was checkmate, already in place. Up in space, aboard the lead Council cruiser Vengeance, Admiral Sulvek stood at the window. "Still no response?" he asked. "None," his officer replied. Sulvek snarled. "Fine, let's force it. Prime weapons." The moment the weapon systems began to glow, something happened. All 3 ships lost power. Not explosive failure. Not hacking. Total silence. The lights flickered. Systems shut down. Engines ceased to hum. Communications died. Even their internal oxygen stabilizers stalled for 3 full seconds. A lifetime in space. Admiral Sulvek gasped, gripping the edge of his console. What's happening?" Then the central screen blinked on. No human face appeared. Just text. "You came to our skies uninvited. You brought weapons into our home. You lost them. Leave now. Next time we won't disable. We'll delete." Sulvek's blood ran cold. They had never been fired on, but they had been completely shut down. Every weapon, every system, every escape route, neutralized before it began. This was no bluff. This was control. Back on Earth, the people watched as the alien ships turned around and slowly left orbit. No shots fired. No war declared. But across the galaxy, every major empire now knew one thing. Earth had drawn a line. And when crossed, it didn't strike in anger. It disarmed you with precision. Not one shot. Not one casualty. But the message? Louder than 1,000 plasma blasts. In the council chambers there was silence. Even the boldest voices sat still. They disarmed 3 battle cruisers mid-orbit without touching them. One counselor whispered, "What else are they capable of?" Threx stood. No anger in his voice, just quiet respect. "I told you," he said. "They don't want war, but if you force their hand, they'll make sure you never lift it again." Earth's fury. They came with arrogance. They left in silence. And still, the Council didn't learn. Even after Earth's quiet display of complete orbital control, even after 3 of their most advanced warships were turned off like lamps, some in the Council still clung to pride. "They humiliated us," barked one commander in the Council chambers. "We must retaliate." "They didn't attack," another replied, clearly shaken. "They warned us." General Threx, ever the lone voice of reason, simply said, "They're done warning." He was right. 36 hours after the Council ships retreated, a mysterious signal was picked up in deep space. It wasn't from Earth. It was around Earth. A formation of unidentified vessels, no known registration, no communication, no propulsion trails, was spotted by outer system sensors. Moving perfectly in sync. At first, the Council thought they were drones. Then one disappeared. Not cloaked, gone. Then another, and another. Within minutes, every sensor in that sector went dark. Not destroyed, overwritten. Back on Earth, General Carter stood in front of a black glass wall in a chamber deep beneath Greenland. The wall showed no controls, no buttons, only a pulse. Like a heartbeat, the door behind him opened. Alex entered, still dressed in his observer robes, now worn with humility, not pride. "You've activated the fleet," Alex said quietly. Carter didn't answer. Instead, he spoke softly to the room. "They violated our skies. They brought weapons to our world. They didn't apologize. They didn't stop." The black glass lit up, one word glowing red: "Authorize." Carter placed his hand on the panel. "Release protocol, Dawnfire." At the edges of Council space, stars began to disappear, or at least it looked that way. In truth, Earth's stealth fleet, once considered theoretical, had arrived. Not in hundreds, in dozens, but they didn't need numbers, they needed intention. Each vessel carried weapons no galactic species had ever seen, not plasma, not ion, not lasers. Earth had developed a weapon called the VEL, Variable Entropy Launcher. To aliens it was unthinkable. To humans it was simply science. It didn't explode. It didn't melt. It rewrote space around its target, erasing energy fields, disabling gravity, and turning shielded vessels into piles of quiet, floating metal. No explosions, no debris, just silence and fear. The Council scrambled. Emergency fleets were dispatched to the outer systems. Communication lines went down before they even arrived. Entire planets sent distress calls, claiming to be under attack, yet no visuals were ever transmitted. And then, the message came from Earth. No threats, no boasting, just a short recorded broadcast sent galaxy-wide. "We did not come looking for war, we came asking for peace. You answered with mockery, weapons, and surveillance. This is not revenge. This is discipline. Consider this a correction." Council fleet stopped mid-flight. No one gave the order. They just couldn't move forward. Every admiral, every general, every captain knew the truth in that moment. Earth wasn't defending itself anymore, it was punishing them. And the galaxy couldn't stop it. Back on Earth, in a command room filled with blinking screens and hushed whispers, Carter stood still, watching fleet status updates scroll past. One officer turned to him. "Sir, we've achieved tactical superiority across 6 outer sectors. They've lost their forward bases. No lives lost. All systems neutralized." Carter didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He just said, "Stand down." "Sir, they've heard us now." In the Galactic Council, chaos turned to silence. Not fear of destruction, but shame. For the first time in galactic history, an unaligned planet, without a single vote, without any allies, had made the Council back down, not with louder weapons, not with bigger fleets, but with precision, with strategy, with cold, terrifying restraint. Later, as quiet returned to the galaxy, a final message was delivered directly to the Council chamber. It wasn't encrypted, it wasn't disguised, it was Carter himself. One simple sentence, looking straight into the camera. "Next time, don't laugh. Respect earned." The galaxy was quiet, not peaceful, stunned. The fear of Earth's power wasn't just in the weapons they used. It was in the ones they didn't. In the silence between the actions. In the space between the words. In the discipline that only comes from something far more dangerous than rage control. On distant planets, children stared at the sky, asking their parents, "Where is Earth?" On council worlds, leaders held secret meetings not about retaliation but about protection. Not against Earth, but from their own people, who had seen the truth and started asking dangerous questions. How did we not know Earth was this strong? Why did we laugh at them? Why didn't we listen to General Threx? Yes, Threx. He stood at the edge of the council chamber, silent as usual. When asked for comment, he gave only this. They asked for peace. We gave them arrogance. Now they walk among stars, and we walk behind them. On Earth, there was no celebration, no parades, no banners waving victory, because Earth didn't consider it a victory. To them, it was necessary. General Carter stood by the Atlantic shoreline, wind blowing across his uniform. He stared at the sky. He wasn't looking for ships. He was waiting for silence to settle again. Reporter approached him, camera hovering. "General," she asked, "do you think they'll ever strike again?" He looked at her with calm eyes and said, "They won't need to. They've already learned." And indeed, they had. In the weeks that followed, a strange thing happened. The Galactic Council sent a delegation to Earth, but this time there were no insults. No laughter, no drones to record weaknesses. They arrived without weapons, without warships, without pride. They came to speak, to offer a seat at the table. Not as a student, but as a rival, and maybe, just maybe, something even rarer in galactic politics appear. The meeting happened in Geneva, neutral ground, simple setting, no grand halls, no laser lights, just a room, a table, and one chair open at the far end. As the council envoy sat, an Earth representative walked in. It wasn't a general. It wasn't a politician. It was a teacher, Dr. Lana Ruiz, a historian from a quiet university. She sat, calmly, smiled. "Let's begin," she said. And in that moment, the galaxy truly began to change. Because Earth hadn't just proven its might, it had earned respect without losing its soul. Later that year, Earth received a new status from the Council. Not a member, not a protectorate, but a new category, created for the first time in galactic history. Sovereign observer, a species with the right to refuse alliances, to veto council actions, to act independently without consequence, a species too dangerous to challenge and too wise to be feared. And in homes across thousands of worlds, one message spread through private networks and dark forums. We used to fear the devourers. We used to fear the void beasts. Now, we fear Earth. And oddly, we're grateful for that. Alex, the alien researcher who had once come to Earth to mock it, now lived on the planet, teaching galactic history at a university. His most famous quote? "They call it the blue planet, but in truth, Earth is made of fire. It just learned how to hide it under oceans." And so it ended. No war, no surrender, just understanding. The galaxy learned a new rule. The most powerful voice in the room doesn't need to shout. And Earth, the once laughed-at planet, finally took its place among the stars, not by conquest, but by command.